This is made with love for us by a non-physical, very high-order intelligence.
Mysterious formations in the crops have baffled people for years. It seems that the more we learn about crop circles, the more questions arise about them.
Crop circles have been sighted in various fields around the world since at least the 1960s. To find out more about these strange patterns, I spoke with Ilis, the national coordinator for the Center for Crop Circle Studies.
First of all, can you tell me, define for me, what is a crop circle?
A crop circle basically is crop or vegetation that is bent over unnaturally. It's basically laid vegetation swirled into a pattern which on the ground is not visible, but it is visible from the air.
As a member of the research team, Peter Sorensen videotapes crop circles in England. He described what some of the patterns look like.
This is very typical of some of the early crop circle designs that we had. For the first 10 years or so, there was nothing but just circles. And then there began to be patterns of circles, and then there were circles with rings around them. And up until this time, some of the scientists were arguing that it was a form of electrified whirlwind, that the spinning wind was making the circles, and the electricity, the electrical charge in it, was what was softening the stalks so that they could bend in this magical way. But it wasn't too long after the circles began to appear that straight lines began to appear. Obviously, these straight lines are not made by a storm. It's also important to know that the crop circles appear overnight.
Some people are skeptical and think crop circles are man-made, just as a hoax. So how can you tell if a crop circle is real?
My first criterion for determining when I walk into a formation is by dowsing. In the 3 years that I've been exploring formations both in England and in the United States here now for 2 years, what I've learned is that the dowsing rods do not respond to anything in a man-made formation. Otherwise, the dowsing rods respond immediately. As soon as you cross the perimeter of the formation from the field, there is an energy there at the perimeter. Additionally, we do crop sampling. We get the numbers. There are certain numbers and ratios of numbers that indicate genuineness. There are soil changes in the formations. There are photographic anomalies that, as we're shooting with video cameras or even regular cameras, films come out different.
So after the evolution of crop circles began to get lines in them, they began to be very complex, like this. This one is huge, probably nearly 400 feet long. Circles and rings and lines and arcs, and these tremendous formations began to get great attention to the world, finally. Because up to that point, people could dismiss crop circles, but not when they're like this. So in recent years, the crop circles have begun to take on recognizable shapes. And they're no longer looking like abstract code. They're getting to be much more literal. So here on my first flight in 1994 was this incredible insect shape. I'm on a flight with another very good friend of mine, the pilot Steve Patterson, and we found this king scorpion up there. Tremendous scorpion formation. Notice that spacing between these tractor lines is about 50 or 60 feet. At the end of each year, there is what we call the grand finale, because the crop circles seem to go through an evolution. There is simple circles in the springtime and then more complicated ones as the season gets along. At the end of 1993, there was this incredible formation that was like a mandala. There was a series of lotus petals around the outside and a big five-pointed star in the middle of this crop circle. It was astounding to see. And one of the interesting features about this is that it wasn't perfectly round, it was sort of oval, but it was on a steep slope. And if a perfectly circular beam of energy had come down from above, that would have created exactly that oval. The crop circles seem to cluster around sacred sites in England, especially an ancient stone circle called Avebury. It's like Stonehenge, only it's older and it's much, much larger. So here is the Avebury stone circle area, and this was our grand finale in 1994. The rings, with their beautiful proportions and the web formation around the outside, occurred in 2 different nights. And that's actually a good sign, because Avebury is such a populated area that if you were a hoaxer, you wouldn't start something in a crowded place and then come back the next night.
Crop crop circles have appeared in countries all around the world, in grain, sand, even ice. I asked Ilis who investigates them and how they're funded.
All of the researchers are volunteers. We have no funding, no grant monies coming together for this. I make any photos that I have, provided I have permission to release them, available to anybody who wants to purchase them. We have a video which includes aerial, ground, and pole shots of the 92, 3, and 4 formations. And now this year we have a 1995 calendar that England put out.
What is the purpose of a crop circle?
This is made, I believe wholeheartedly, this is made with love for us by a non-physical, very high-order intelligence. It's a gift. They're trying to wake us up to this fact that we are living amongst other intelligences and other beings, and they're trying to do it as unobtrusively, as gently as they can, but as very definitely and as urgently as they can, because our time is short.
It changes you. It's changing the world. Whatever is the cause of this, the world is not going to be the same because of this beauty, great, great beauty.
You just never know when or where the next mystery will crop up. I'm Patrick Macnee. Join me next time for more mysteries, magic, and miracles.